Welcome back for the second portion of Joy in Our Town. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm your host, Tammy Jo Johnson. Our guest for this segment is E.J. Thomas, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity Mid-Ohio. He joins us today to discuss home ownership in Central Ohio, along with how Habitat for Humanity empowers families to build a new life through their home ownership program. Thank you again so much for being here with us.
Good to be with you, Tammy. It really is.
So, we talked a little bit about last segment about home ownership and about Habitat, but now let's really talk about the details of the program. Can you give me a brief overview of how it works?
We hold homeowner orientation meetings on Saturdays and Thursdays, and you can find that on our website so people can find out when it is we're going to have an open meeting where folks that have an interest in possibly owning their own home can come, find out what is involved, what their sweat equity in the game is going to be, and fill out an application.
And you're obviously passionate about this, so tell us why, again, why home ownership is important for any family.
Given the fact that more than half of our homeowners are paying less for a home, a brand new home or a rehabbed home, than what they were paying for substandard housing, and I mean really lousy conditions, that's something to be passionate about. You think about it. You think about how most of us, we work a hard day and we go home and we let down. We're surrounded by things that we love, people that we care for, but sometimes we can take that for granted because it's there at the end of the day.
Right.
Folks that are living in substandard housing, paying 60% of their income on a place to stay, where the mechanicals don't work, there's lead paint on the wall, there's not enough room, kids are sleeping on the couch, they're moving around every 2 or 3 months.
It's a lot.
In and out of school districts. It is not a good life.
Right.
It is a tough, hard life. So the opportunity to transition them into something that is of value, that they gain equity in, where their kids have a room where they can study and sleep and be comfortable, that's something we all want.
Right. And everybody's lives are impacted. I mean, that the mom, whether it's a single mother or whether it's a whole family with a mother and a father and kids, you're right. When kids have their own room and their own quarters, they perform better in school. The attendance rate goes down.
Let me share with you a true story. I'd been at Habitat for about 3 or 4 months, and I MC the dedication ceremonies at the end. What you see at the dedication are the 4 and 5 year old kids running around, and they're looking at their new bedroom that's got the purple walls, and they're just so excited, and they're just running all over the house.
Right.
You're focused on the adults because they have been the ones who you've been working with. They're the ones that are going to fill out the closing paperwork. And so you pat the kids on the head, you're really happy for them, but they're kids. But you know what? Kids grow up. I'd been around 3 or 4 months when after one of these ceremonies, this young African-American walked up to me, bigger than I am, built, he's obviously in sports, and he says, shook my hand, he said, E.J., I just wanted to thank you for the Habitat home that my mama got when I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
I said, really? He said, yep. He said, before we got our home, we were moving around, all the things I talked about before, sleeping on a couch. I didn't have a room of my own. He said, we got our Habitat home. We stayed in one place. I stayed in one school. I had a quiet place to study and sleep. And he said, and I really attribute that change in my life to the fact that I was able to get into Kent State. I'm going to graduate next term, and I already have my dream job because I've been interning at a company and they like my work. And I stood there with my mouth open because I thought, I hadn't connected the fact that the life doesn't just change for the adults.
Right.
Life changes for these kids.
Right.
And here was a very positive, tangible example of a young man who, for the rest of his life, is going to benefit from the fact that those volunteers put in 3,000 hours of time on his home, and the sponsors helped to fund it. It doesn't just affect his home, his life. It affects his children, his spouse. So there's a chain reaction here that's a very good chain reaction.
It is, and because of the social service aspect, a lot of social workers even don't get to see that return on investment. They don't
That's
get
right.
to see it. They don't come back.
Return
So
on
you
investment.
actually,
That's a great way to
you
put
got
it.
to see it and experience it. How did it
Yeah.
make you feel?
Well, it makes you feel great, and it makes the whole team feel great.
Wow.
And it, you know, going out and raising money for these homes on a regular basis, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Right.
But when you reflect back on a story like that, it makes the job much easier.
That's awesome. And I know we mentioned this before about the sweat equity, and it says that they have to perform 250 hours with 20 hours performed in classes that teach tech skills needed for home ownership. What are those tech skills?
Well, consider that these are first-time home buyers. They've always lived in an apartment of some sort. So if something goes wrong, they call the super or they call the apartment owner. They haven't been there to fix it themselves. We've had folks come to us that have never used a lawnmower before.
Oh.
So we take them through how to do light maintenance on their home, how to mow the grass, how to do those kinds of things that homeowners do. It's a little intimidating for our folks at first, but again, at the end of the process, they go, you know what, I know how to do this stuff.
I mean, I'm just wondering, do regular homeowners get that type of treatment when they go buy a house? Probably
well, I
not.
don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, who teaches? I mean, that's awesome, because what you're doing is you're saying, here, this is what we're working to give you, and this is what you're working to receive and upkeep. Here's how to do it.
That's exactly right. At the end of the day when we present the keys, one of the things we do is present this big, thick home maintenance Bible, if you will, that Lowe's sells to anybody. But we give one of those to the family so that they've got a way to reference, you know, how to do that light maintenance and keep their house up.
Awesome. Now, you also provide home ownership through your Veterans Build program.
Right.
Is that, or how is that different?
Well, as someone who put in 32 years in the Air Force and the Guard, and we all love our veterans, but this is something that's kind of been a passion for me, for our veterans that are struggling out there. And we do have veterans that clearly qualify for our program. And one of the gives, and I think we're the only affiliate in the country that does this, a veteran who comes to us that qualifies, we will knock $1,000 off of their first mortgage at the end of the day for every year of service up to 10 years. So that's another way that we can give back to our veterans. We do a lot of repair work for veterans. In fact, we just finished one out in Pickerington where the gentleman has a motorized wheelchair. We went in and essentially blew up the inside of the house and opened up the doorway so he can get around, made it handicap accessible. We built a ramp off the back of the house. He had previously had a gravel driveway, and so he would go out with this motorized wheelchair, and he would frequently get stuck and have to have somebody give him a hand. So one of the things that we did was we put in, it's a fairly long driveway, I called it the runway. We put in a concrete, made it all concrete so that he can get out to his mailbox and back. So being able to help our veterans enjoy a better quality of life is something that we're committed to.
Wow, that's amazing. And you said that they had to qualify. What type of qualifications are different for them than it would be for someone that, you know?
Qualifications are still the same. It's just the fact that if they're a veteran, we take them to the bonus round, if you will, on their mortgage. Nice.
And again, if people that are watching, our viewers, wanted to get involved or they wanted to volunteer, who would they contact? How would we get in touch with you?
The easiest way, because everybody's www whatever for everything that they want to know about. You know, you can make yourself an expert on just about anything with the internet.
YouTube and Google.
So it's habitatmidohio.org. You can become involved as a volunteer. You can get information about, through our program page, about when the homeowner orientations are for folks that are interested in having a Habitat home of their own.
Wow, and you're already doing so much amazing. I mean, it's life-changing. What are the future plans for Habitat for Humanity?
We are embarking on what's called the Habitat Housing Initiative, where we're going to, on the front end of raising $5.65 million. We have 2 restores now. We want to have 4 because those restores generate revenue on a sustainable basis that then can be used to help our families. And so we're pretty excited about that.
Habitat for Humanity, does it expand outside of Ohio? Are you connected to another
Yes,
network?
Habitat for Humanity International is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. There are about 1,400 affiliates. We're number 50 or so in that in that grouping based on the number of families that we serve. And with this initiative, once we get it fully funded and up and running, based on today's data, that'll put us rank us at about number 7.
Wow.
In the country. Not that we're competitive or anything, Tammy.
Right, right. I mean, you know, but you have a national backing.
We are connected. It's a covenant-type relationship.
Okay.
It's a federated model. So it's not a strictly controlled from the, there's an awful lot of latitude that we have at the local level.
Wonderful. So, okay, just, you know, as we begin to wrap up, someone's interested in going through this, they're ready, they feel like they're ready. What type of prep work would you have them to consider? I mean, you don't just say one day, I just want to own a home. Should they read up on anything? Should they have an attitude of some type? Or?
I would say at the point where they decide they would like a home of their own, come up on habitatmidohio.org, go to programs, and come and be part of one of these orientation sessions and learn what it's like. Learn what it's like to own your own home. Learn what it's like to grow through the process. Learn a lot of things that you didn't know before that you're going to appreciate when the process is ended. Learn how you can stand at a dedication and be presented by one of the volunteers that's worked on your home with your own key to your own home, and live in safe, decent, and affordable housing that's very, very energy efficient. I'd mentioned American Electric Power before. They provide us a significant amount of dollars every year to make sure that the homes are Energy Star energy efficient.
Right.
Our homes use just slightly more than half of the energy than a similar home that doesn't have these energy upgrades. So in the dead of winter, when somebody else down the street's paying $400 for their heating bill, our families are paying $210, $215. So we're committed to helping these families be successful through all the years of home ownership, through those kinds of investments.
And the orientation program, I mean, they have nothing to lose,
It's
right?
free.
And how long does it last?
Oh, an hour, hour
and it's
and
a
half.
requirement as well, right?
Well, but you want to know what you're getting into.
Right, right.
And at that time, you can fill out an application and start down the road to see if you qualify.
Awesome. Wow, thank you. So I've learned a lot myself, but thank you so much for being on the show with us today and giving us all the wonderful information. We thank you and Habitat for Humanity for everything that you're doing in our community.
Well, thank you, Tammy. It's
You're
good to be
welcome.
here.
Thank you. That's our program. Thank you so much for watching. You can also check us out on Facebook at WSFJ-TV51. Join us again next week at the same time for Joy in Our Town.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and is made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town coming to your home every week. Write to Joy in Our Town, 7790 North Central Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035.